So let's say your company has an AI assistant answering customer questions and it has been telling people your refund window is 30 days. And that was correct until this morning when the business quietly changed it to 14 days. So the next customer asks, "What is your refund window?" And the assistant answers same as always, 30 days, which is now just wrong. And here is the thing, it is not really the model's fault. Think about it. The model is only working from what it was given, an old copy of the document, from before the change. And nobody has told it the number is different now. This is your company's live policy. The current number, 14, is simply not anywhere the model can see. So it answers from stale information. And that is the real problem. How do we get that current fact in front of it? So that is the whole video, really. The model does not have this fact. So how do we give it the fact? And it comes down to three main moves. People wrap them in three words: prompting, RAG, fine tuning. But underneath, all three are answering that one question. And once you can see it, the choice is usually clear. So let's build it up from scratch. Okay, so we have a model. Picture that same box from the first video. Text goes in, text comes out. And it is missing a fact now. If you think about it properly, for this kind of problem, there are really three main levers we can pull. And each of those three words is just one of them. 1. We can change the request. The request is just the message we send in. So we type the fact straight into our question. That is called prompting. And honestly, you have done it already. Every time you pasted something into a chatbot and said, using this, answer that. 2. We can change the context around the request. The context is the extra stuff we hand the model alongside our question. So instead of first typing the fact, the system goes and fetches the right piece for us and slips it in next to the question. That is RAG. And it is built right on top of the last video, the search by meaning one. And 3. We can change the model itself, the box. We train it a bit more. So behavior is baked in. That is fine tuning. So that is the whole map. Prompting changes the request, RAG changes the context, fine tuning changes the model. And notice, the first two both change what goes into the box. With prompting, we decide what to put in. With RAG, the system fetches it for us. Only fine tuning changes the box itself. So the whole skill is really just this. Right. Look at the problem. And you know which lever to pull. So let's take them one at a time. Cheapest first. So the first one, prompting, is the one you already know and genuinely the one to try first. We have the fact, so we just put it in the message. Our refund window is 14 days. A customer asks, "What is our window?" Answer using that. And the model reads it right there and says 14 days. Done. It works this second. Nothing to build. And one thing to be clear about, when we do this, the model is not learning our fact. The box does not change at all. The fact just sits in the context. The stuff the model can see for this one answer and it reads it off. And remember the context from the earlier video, it is that finite budget, the dusk with a hard edge. So the fact has to be on that dusk each time we ask, whether we paste it in ourselves or the tool quietly carries it along for us. And that tells us exactly when prompting is right and when it is not. It is perfect when the information is small and we already have it in hand. A couple of rules, one short policy. Here is the email, summarize it. But what if it's not a small fact? What if the answer is buried somewhere in 100 pages of policy documents and we do not even know which page? Now, we could try pasting all 100 pages in if they happen to fit, but doing that on every single request is expensive. It is wasteful, and honestly, it makes it harder for the model to find the one relevant line in all of the text. So, prompting is change the request, put the fact in ourselves. Great when the information is small, but we already have it in hand. But the moment the knowledge gets big, we need something smarter than paste everything, and that is the second door. So, 100 pages, and we only want the one relevant bit. And this is exactly the last video put to work. We take all those documents and cut them into small pieces. Each piece is called a chunk. And using embeddings, one common way to do it, we turn every chunk into point on that map of meaning. Now the question comes in, what is our refund window? And we do a search by meaning. Find the nearest chunk, the little paragraph about refunds, and slip that piece into the context next to the question. So notice, the model still answers using the context exactly like it did with prompting. The only difference is we did not paste it. The system retrieved it for us automatically out of the whole pile of documents. Retrieve the right piece first, then generate the answer. Those two steps together have a name: RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. The name is a mouthful. The idea is just fetch the relevant bit, then answer. And fetch does not always mean this map of meaning, by the way. If the fact is an extra value sitting in a database, we just query the database. Retrieval is the general idea. Searching by meaning is one common way to do it. And now, look at why this is a good fit for a large, changing body of facts. The knowledge lives outside the model, sitting in our documents. So, the day the policy changes from 14 days to 7, we just edit the document. And once the system reindexes it, the very next request can retrieve 7 days. We did not retrain anything, the box never changed. And because the system knows which chunk it pulled, it can show us which source it retrieved. This came from page 4. For anything that actually matters, being able to point at that source like that is exactly what we want. One honest thing, so we do not oversell it. RAG hands the model the right evidence. It does not force the model to use it correctly. The search can pull the wrong chunk, or the model can still fumble what it is handed. Relevant evidence improves the odds. It does not guarantee the answer. So, do not hear RAG and think guaranteed correct. So, RAG is change the context, fetch the right piece, slip it in. For a large or changing collection of documents, retrieval is our usual default. We edit a document, not the model. That is the important part. And notice, both doors so far leave the model itself completely untouched. Which brings us to the third one, where we actually change the box. And this is where the common confusion starts. So, fine tuning. This is the one that sounds the most powerful. So, a common temptation is to reach for it first, and for the wrong kind of problem. Fine tuning means we take the model and train it a bit more. We show it a set of our own examples, and its internal settings actually shift. We are changing the box itself, right? So, the natural thought is great, I will just fine tune my refund policy into the model, and then it will simply know it, bake the fact right in. And here is the surprise. That is usually the wrong move. In one control study, where the model had to answer from memory, researchers took facts it had never seen and fine tuned them in. The new facts did eventually go in, but they were learned much more slowly than the facts the model already knew. And as more of these new facts were learned, the model started to hallucinate more on the questions it had answered correctly before. So, sit with it for a second. The information went in, but the model's factual reliability got worse elsewhere. That is the real trade off. And at high level, a fact we fine tune in does not give us some neat labeled record. The change lives in learned settings, what engineers call parameters. With no clean entry, we can look up, swap out, or point to later. It is a poor filing cabinet for facts that change. So, this is the one thing to really take away today. Fine tuning can absorb facts, but its best fit is changing how the model behaves. It is a poor source of truth for facts that change. Behavior first, changing facts stay outside. That is the distinction. So, when is it the right tool? Because it is genuinely great at one thing, just not the one people reach for. It is for a behavior we need over and over that we cannot get just by asking nicely. Let's say you need every answer in your company's specific tone and style, or you have a narrow, fiddly job. Sort this ticket into one of our 8 internal categories, and plain prompting keeps almost getting it right. We show the model a good set of examples of the behavior we want, and it bakes that skill right in. We can even fine tune a small, cheap model to copy one job a big model does. And if it passes our test, run it faster and cheaper. That is behavior, and that is where fine tuning earns its place. And the cleanest way to feel the difference, think about changing one single fact. The refund window changes again. With prompting, we edit one sentence. With RAG, we update one document and reindex it. With fine tuning, we have to make the new training data, retrain the model, evaluate it, and redeploy. And by the time all of that is done, the policy might have changed again. Right there is why changing facts stay outside the box. So, fine tuning changes the model, and its best fit here is repeatable behavior, a repeated skill, a fixed style, a narrow task we do a million times. Bake it in. That is the whole thing. So, let's pull the whole thing together because it really is just one clean decision. We have a model, and something is wrong with its answer. And the very first question is just what is wrong? Is it missing information or is it behavior wrong? Two different problems, two different fixes. Get that split right, and we are basically done. So, if it is missing information, a fact the model just does not have, first try putting it in the request, paste it in. If it is small and we have it, if it sits inside a large or changing collection of documents, then instead of pasting everything, we retrieve the relevant part, that is RAG. Keep the knowledge out in the documents where we can update it and point to it. And if it's not a knowledge problem, the model has what it needs, but keeps doing the job the wrong way, start by asking better. If you need an exact output format, use a structured output feature that enforces the shape. And if a nuanced repeated behavior still fails our tests, that is when fine tuning becomes useful. And these three are not rivals, by the way. We very often use them together. A real support bot will retrieve the right policy with RAG and answer in the exact company's voice because it was fine tuned for that tone. Facts fetched, behavior baked. And I kept two doors shut on purpose. How retrieval actually finds the right chunk fast and does it well. And when fine tuning really rewires the model on the inside, both are their own deeper videos and neither of them changes the decision we now own. So here is the thing to actually walk away with. The next time you hear prompting, RAG, and fine tuning thrown around like rival products, you have to pick between. They are not. Prompting changes the request, RAG changes the context, fine tuning changes the model. And a common mistake is reaching for the model fine tuning to fix a missing information problem, especially when that information keeps changing. So figure out what is actually wrong first, and the right choice is usually obvious. And the next time, notice we have only been giving the model knowledge and behavior, but it is still just answering one question and stopping. What happens when we let it act? Decide for itself. Use tools. Take a few steps on its own. That is an agent. And that is the next one.